Follow the link in the description and use promo code PIZZOW to get $2 off of a Munch Pack and get candy and snack items from all over the world that you can't buy in stores delivered directly to your door.
Hey, what's up, people? PIZZOW here, and a few years ago I did a series of reviews entitled Holiday Horrors, in which I discussed my favorite holiday-themed horror movies. I talked about 7 movies: Silent Night, Deadly Night, Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, Black Christmas, Silent Night, Bloody Night, Christmas Evil, Jack Frost, a couple others I don't recall right off the top of my head, but I wanted to continue that series for 2016 because I love holiday-themed horror movies. There's just something about that juxtaposition of the Christmas season, the holiday season, the most wonderful time of year, and a good, dark horror movie. I think when you combine those two things and you add in this atmosphere, this very cold, snowy, isolated atmosphere that a lot of these movies have, you can really create a really interesting film. And I love holiday-themed horror movies. And I wanted to pick up this series with some holiday-themed horror movies that I didn't add to that list, but holiday-themed horror movies that I think you guys would most likely enjoy. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kick off my Holiday Horrors Volume 2 series of reviews with 1980's To All a Good Night. And this is a movie that flew under my radar, as I think it's flown under most people's radars for many, many years. I vividly remember seeing the VHS box cover art at the video store, but that's pretty much about it. Now, the movie is interesting because it was directed by David Hess. Now, David Hess is mostly known for playing Krug in Last House on the Left. And what a lot of people don't know about David Hess, and he was a very interesting cat, he was a songwriter before he was an actor, or in the case of To All a Good Night, a director. He actually wrote music for Elvis Presley, Pat Boone, lots of other artists. He had a pretty prolific music career that not a lot of people really know that much about. Now, the story of To All a Good Night, a couple of years ago at the Calvin Finishing School for Girls, one of the girls is killed in a prank gone awry. Fast forward to present day, and some of the girls at the finishing school have decided to hang back on Christmas vacation in order to, they've devised this plan where they're going to drug the house mother, have their boyfriends come over, and of course, engage in various shenanigans. And those plans are going pretty much smoothly until someone dressed in a Santa Claus outfit shows up and starts picking them off one by one by one. Now, the movie very quickly eschews anything even remotely, any semblance of a plot or a storyline is just jettisoned out of To All a Good Night very, very quickly. And within the first half hour of this movie, half the cast is already dead. And I vividly remember I paused the movie to go to the bathroom or get a drink or something, and I was like, oh my God, there's over an hour left in this movie. How on earth are they going to pad out another hour plus of this movie? And I pretty much answered my own question. They just padded the thing out to the point where it's... Now, I've seen bad padding in movies before. Usually it's bad dialogue, it's bad character-y stuff. Here it's horrendous dialogue. It's characters, and I mean, the characters in this movie, you can basically, on the girls spectrum, you have the slut. You have the sort of wisecracky girl, who's also a slut. You have the nerdy girl, who's also pretty much a slut. You have the girl with a British accent, a pretty fake British accent, who's a slut. And then you have the naive, innocent virgin. Can you guess which one of those is our final girl here? On the boys' end of the spectrum, you have the dumb jock, you have the dumb musician, you have just the random dumb guy, and you have the nerdy virgin guy. Those are our characters. And they engage in some of the dumbest, they do some of the stupidest things I've ever seen characters do in a horror movie, and that is honestly saying something. I've seen characters do absolutely mind-boggling, just ridiculous, stupid things in movies, particularly horror movies. In this movie, the characters are just a whole new level of stupid. The characters in this movie, when it comes to the padding, they've got horrible, horrible dialogue. The acting is really, really bad. And they, at one point, they're just wandering around the house in the dark. A couple of them are wandering around in this house in the dark. Two more of them are wandering around outside the house in the dark, just aimlessly, even though at this point everybody knows there's a killer on the loose, but let's just go wander around aimlessly. One character, the killer spares. I'm not sure exactly why. And then she spends the rest of the movie dancing around in like this long white dress because I guess she's gone insane. Like, seriously, at one point I was thinking, is she in on this? Is she like in on what's going on here? Is she a killer or one of the killers? Because she's just dancing around in front of the killer and the killer is just like totally ignoring her. Now, the first act of the movie is actually kind of entertaining. You've got some not so good kills in the movie, and they're kind of poorly choreographed, and they're not executed very well from a special effects point of view, really. But the first act of the movie is entertaining on kind of a dumb slasher movie level. Now, the padding that happens for pretty much the next 45 to 50 minutes of the movie just really, really shows the flaws of To All a Good Night. One, the movie was clearly shot. There's so many day for night shots in the movie, and it's so obvious that it was shot day for night because it's so bright. They like filmed the movie in California. And I'm sure it was probably not as noticeable on the VHS releases of the movie, but I did check out the Blu-ray. Yes, this does have a Blu-ray release. And on the Blu-ray release, it's very, very obvious that that they shot these night scenes day for night. Number two, the identity of the killer is painfully obvious after about the 10-minute mark in the movie. They do throw a nice little curve at us toward the end, which I dug, but the whodunit aspect of the movie is definitely lacking. And the movie lacks that cold, isolated sense of atmosphere that a lot of these holiday-themed horror movies have that I absolutely love, because clearly they shot the movie in California. There's palm trees everywhere. They've frosted the windows of the finishing school, I guess, to kind of make it look like it's in winter. They've got everybody in like coats and jackets and what have you, but then they're posed next to a palm tree, and clearly it's not winter. There's not a snowflake in sight. And the movie's clearly very, very much inspired by Friday the 13th, even right down to the killer's, the killer's motivation. The movie even has a red herring harbinger of doom who's also named Ralph. He's this guy who walks around carrying a pair of gardening shears because, well, he's the gardener, and I guess all gardeners just wander around everywhere holding gardening shears because they never know when they're going to need to shear the garden. I guess. I don't know. And when he's not doing that, he's trying to, he's warning the heroine in the movie about this evil presence that he feels in the house, or he's talking to her about how much he loves plants and how God put plants here for our pleasure. Now, I definitely can't recommend To All a Good Night unless you're just absolutely dedicated to seeing either A, every slasher movie that was ever made, or B, every holiday-themed horror or slasher movie that was ever made. The first act of the movie is kind of fun from a slasher movie point of view. The kills aren't great. They're kind of sloppily executed, but it's got that fun slasher sort of factor about it. The next hour of the movie, honestly, is kind of difficult to get through, although there are some good unintentional laughs along the way. But all in all, To All a Good Night is a really strange entry in the holiday-themed slasher movie pantheon. If you've seen To All a Good Night, please let me know what you thought of it in the comments section below. Please share with me some of your favorite holiday-themed horror movies down in the comments section below. If you liked the video, please leave it a thumbs up. If you're not following me on social media, those links are in the description. They're also right around here. As always, thanks so much for watching. Hope you guys out there are all having a great holiday season. And until I see you guys again with another episode of Holiday Horrors Volume 2, you guys take it easy. Peace. Say hello to the internet, Jeremy.
Hello to the internet.